Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Rudkowski of WeAreChange.org, and in this video, we will be talking about all the important news that is being forgotten right now, well, because of the outbreak, the C word, even the P word. We're not going to mention any news related to the C or P word at all, but we're going to talk about everything else that also deserves our attention right now, but is completely and utterly being forgotten. And before we get into that, check out our store, cleanhealthyhappy.com. The link will be in the description, and it's to one of our trusted affiliate businesses where you could still get some important supplies. By supporting this business, you also support us, so check out the link down below. Now, one of the biggest news items and something that I've been keeping a very close eye on is, of course, all the latest geopolitical developments, especially the important ones happening right now in Latin America. Right now, I have a news article from almost exactly 1 year ago from Newsweek that was titled, "Venezuela Warns of U.S. Attack, Increases Military by 1 Million as it boosts ties with Russia, China, and Iran." All of these countries, of course, are the geopolitical foes of the United States, and this is an important development. As we know, Venezuela has been building up their military with whatever resources they have, and as resources become strained, borders become closed, and situations become more desperate, as already the situation in Venezuela is already extremely desperate. This is something that we should be keeping a close eye on, especially after the latest escalation that happened a few days ago, where Venezuelan military naval boat rammed a passenger cruise liner, one with a very strong hull that's meant to break ice and meant for icebergs. And after doing so, and after the altercation, the Venezuelan military naval boat was actually sunk because it sustained damage from ramming the cruise liner. The video of this is pretty crazy, to say the least. There's even some Venezuelan military members shooting AK-47s into the water in what many people are calling a desperate act by the Navy in order to bring the cruise ship full of supplies to Venezuela, while others are saying that this was the Venezuelan military repelling a potential threat. But again, this incident did happen on international waters, which is worth considering here, especially with the two theories out there right now. And for me, in my opinion, this is a desperate situation getting that much worse. And again, this just happened right before Donald Trump announced that he is expanding and sending more military personnel to be off the coast of Venezuela in a new military action to allegedly fight off drug cartels in a supposed anti-drug mission, which, again, many people clearly see as a significant action and step being made against Venezuela, which, again, the U.S. government and even Donald Trump have threatened to invade before. Yes, Donald Trump has previously called for the armed intervention in Venezuela. So will this situation that is unfolding right now allow for this opportunity? Well, no one really knows for sure. But we do know that there are a lot of different troop movements out there right now. The U.S. military has announced that it will not be recording the number of people impacted by the current situation that everyone is in. And also the military is moving a lot of its very important personnel to an underground bunker where they will be sealed off from the rest of the world. And as relations between the United States and China are at an all-time low since the time of Mao Zedong, Venezuela being, of course, very economically tied to China does not help out this entire situation. As, of course, historically speaking, major calamities, major crises are usually met with conflict. So yeah, all the latest geopolitical foreign policy news is something that I am keeping a close eye on, but of course something that, of course, is going underreported as well. Another story that's being extremely underreported that the establishment and mainstream media want you to forget about is, of course, the story of the decade. The story of the man who was connected and protected by the highest elements of our government that was running an international child trafficking and abuse ring, while, of course, being protected by local law enforcement, doctors, prosecutors, judges, and government agents. And now we are getting very important details about this saga that we still know very, very little about. I think we only know about 1% of the truth behind the whole Jeffrey Epstein saga, but we get temporarily little snippets of what was happening, and we are getting confirmation now that Mr. Epstein was, of course, very well connected to Harvey Weinstein, and that Epstein was using his connections to him to impress young women, while, of course, it just recently came out that one of his victims had a big role in a horror movie produced, of course, by Weinstein's movie company. Now, of course, these two men have many things in common, not only their close relationships to the Clintons and other mainline big establishment governmental figures, but also a lot of the same celebrities, technocrats, and even royalty. Now, we saw these individuals pictured together before, and even though we get a little snippet of how some of the power plays were conducted here, we still know very little about this cycle of abuse that was happening for decades, while local law enforcement, federal and state enforcement agents were not just allowing it to happen, but aiding and abetting it. Again, it's still mind-boggling that these two men could run abuse rings with everyone's knowledge of it, and yet it's still allowed to continue for years. Also, recently we got a sneak peek look into some of the strategy that Epstein was using. Specifically, also, according to a software architect who was a part of bringing Epstein down, who now is coming out and saying that Epstein helped co-organize traps for local law enforcement to raid him in order for him to look like the victim who is being harassed. Specifically laying out a plan where he hired women who looked like they were children in an attempt to set up a raid which would find nothing. And as we know from previous raids, Mr. Epstein was tipped off that there was operations made against him, and thereafter, after getting help from higher-ups, was able to evade justice for longer, while, of course, still having footage of several popular people, including many A-listers, who were coming in and out of his house, including individuals like Bill Gates that have met with him many times, lied about it to the general public, and now somehow the media and the establishment want you to trust this man who is friends with the international child trafficker and abuser who lies about it as somehow the man who's going to help us during these difficult times that everyone's dealing with. And this is also an important note to add that Jeffrey Epstein was an admitted eugenicist, and that many of the meetings and hearings that Bill Gates had with Jeffrey Epstein, who shares similar interests in population control, are still unknown to the general public. Another weird, creepy relation to everything that's unfolding right now, we have the news that the billionaire who literally did PR for Jeffrey Epstein, trying to make him look like a good person, like an entrepreneur, who worked to hide him being a registered child abuser, the man who figuratively ran the cover-up in the media for Mr. Epstein, trying to make him look like a good man so Epstein could have more children as his victims, so less people knew about the true monster that he was. That same man just donated $1.5 million to a super PAC for Mr. Joe Biden, the Democratic presidential hopeful. Hopeful is the key word here, since Joe Biden is just doing absolutely horrible in every way that he could possibly do. If there ever was a way to not win public support, to lose favorable opinion of you, it would be literally done and executed by every action that Joe Biden is doing right now. He was supposed to be doing frequent live video responses to the nation, and he still can't manage to figure that out. And again, this is the man that the establishment and the mainstream media have put forward as supposedly the best pick, while of course making fun and attacking other populists like Bernie Sanders. Of course, I am not a fan of Bernie Sanders, but it was very awkward to see the mainstream media just vilify and attack Bernie in so many different ways, while of course on CNN there was anchors like Don Lemon saying that it was almost like a dream whenever Joe Biden somehow had any kind of support or any kind of way where he was actually doing a little bit better than his usual slurring of the words and misunderstandings of basic things happening around him. And the latest thing that the media is pushing to somehow attempt to have a close race, which again we all know is not, is this latest argument between Trump and Biden, who are arguing about face masks. And recently, when Donald Trump was asked what he made of Joe Biden's latest attacks against him on Twitter, the president responded that, quote, "He didn't write that. That was done by a Democratic operative. He doesn't write. He is probably not even watching right now. And if he is, he doesn't understand what he is watching." Yeah, an absolutely vicious burn, a one-liner by Donald Trump that, again, resonates with many people since Biden's handling of everything as of late is absolutely terrible and dismal. Even people like Joe Rogan came out publicly. A man, by the way, who promotes and believes in many liberal leftist policies. Joe Rogan came out recently and said that he would rather vote for Donald Trump than Joe Biden. This, of course, has led many people in the mainstream media to attack him. But if you look at some of his points, they are populist points that many people agree with. He even went on and talked about how the Democrats are making all of us look dumb over Biden. And that's absolutely the case here. There's even an article here by the Washington Examiner that I think is worth a read. And it is titled, "Joe Rogan is the Democratic Party's canary in the coal mine." And if you really do think about it, that absolutely makes perfect sense. That canary is either dead or long gone. And the Democrats have put themselves in an absolutely dismal situation, a game that they rigged to the benefit of their own destruction, as if this was almost planned for the very beginning to help re-elect Donald Trump. Again, not a big fan of Donald Trump or Joe Biden or any politician. I believe in a simple, logical belief that we should never give anyone power and authority over us. You know, you should be responsible for yourself. Radical idea. Oh, crazy man here. But with the way that things are going, especially with even the possibility of the DNC and RNC being completely virtual and potentially even being done through Skype or Zoom, the current situation is definitely not a good one for the Democrats or Joe Biden. And there might even be a potential replacement at this maybe virtual DNC that I think could have the governor of New York potentially replace him as, of course, the Democratic frontrunner. That's how low of a situation that Joe Biden is in. Everything is possible here. The situation that we're dealing with is very unpredictable. But if you look at New York Governor Cuomo and his daily press briefings that have been run by the national media, the attention he's getting, him fighting against martial law, against the mayor of New York City, fighting against Donald Trump, preventing the quarantine of the entire New York City and New York State area, he's gaining a lot of popular support. Popular support that may transition into a bigger role either this year or sometime in the future, and most likely the future. And again, definitely not a fan of the New York governor as well, but there's no denying people's opinion of him and the way that he has handled this entire situation, which is far better than the incoherent ramblings and coughing of the establishment puppet politician old-timer that always said whatever he needed to say in order to gain power. He is now doing that with a teleprompter, with an earpiece, and he still is having a very hard time reiterating the lines that the special interests want him to reiterate. And that, of course, is a major sign towards a big cornerstone change that I think will be happening at the DNC. Or who knows, he could just be the lame duck fall candidate in order to get Trump elected. In like a similar way where boxers usually, after coming back from a long time off or after a major loss, usually have a rebound fight. This could be Donald Trump's little rebound fight that could be unfolding here. Also, before we end it here, I'm also hearing a lot of controversy and news coming from the Steemit online community. This is a cryptocurrency social media backed platform that now has a competitor called Hive. We are both on Steemit and we are both on Hive, and we're interested if this is something that you would like us to research or talk about or get into. Let us know, because we may potentially have someone like Luke Stokes on this YouTube channel in an interview to break down exactly what is happening. If this is something that you might be interested in seeing on this channel, let us know down in the comment section below, because essentially we work for you. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. This is why I try to answer as many comments as I can within the first hour that a video is out. To be a part of that conversation, click the notification button, and maybe you'll be notified, since of course YouTube is rolling out all the stops to censor free speech. Already a number of people got their videos deleted. Our videos are automatically being demonetized. If we even mention the C word or the P word, we don't get videos monetized. They're always confirmed by manual review. There's all these algorithm changes and shifts in order to stop people seeing these videos, as well as hundreds, if not thousands of people a day just being unsubscribed from this channel without even clicking unsubscribe. So yeah, you can just imagine what we're going through. So again, if this video resonated with you, you liked it, you thought the information here was valuable to understand, if you needed a break from the C word, share this video with your friends and family members, because that is more crucial than ever. Without you, I'm not here, and this is why I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.